Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where we're working together step by step through each of the ABRSM theory grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets that are available to download in US letter or A4, and they accompany each step of this series. You can also find a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can also access information about the books that I have available. I've written How to Take Your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's an exam technique book, and it's full of tips and hints on how to best prepare for your exam, and also how to best make use of the time when you're actually in the exam room working through your exam paper. So if you visit sharonbill.com, it's all there for you. If you can give me a like, that would be great, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more to come. And so we're now going to have a little look at section F. So if you turn with me to page 20, we're going to be just very briefly looking at 4-bar rhythms. So I've referred to this as section F. And if you just look in your PDF document and refer to section F, I've given you some hints and tips on how to best think about approaching this. So if you want to refresh your memory, you can find the things that I suggest there. However, we're only going to have a little look at this because this no longer forms part of the grade 4 ABRSM exam. It's been removed from the exam. However, I do suggest that you have a little go at this, just because it brings into revision lots of different techniques from previous sections that you will still need to know, because primarily it's checking that you can work comfortably within these simple and compound time signatures, and that you're grouping things correctly, and that you're understanding the phrase structure. So we'll have a go at one just as a bit of a revision if you want to have a go at a couple yourself. However, there's no need to really labour this section because it's no longer on the exam paper. So first of all, we need to map out our 4 bars. Don't forget though that we've got an anacrusis, we've got an upbeat of an incomplete bar. So we need to think about complete bars. So we've got bar 1 here, bar 2, bar 3, and then here and here make bar 4 for the end. And so we're going to have an anacrusis or an upbeat into this section, and then this bar will be split between the ending of the previous phrase and the opening of the answering phrase. We need to always imagine that we've got a question phrase and an answer phrase, and so I found it better to compose these rhythms by just starting with the openings of the question and the answer phrase, and then you're sure that if there's an anacrusis, you've got that properly reflected in your second section. And so here we have an anacrusis or an upbeat of 1 1/4 beats, and so we need to have the same reflected here in the answer phrase. We need 1 1/4 beats. We need it to feel like it's thematically linked to this rhythm, and so I'm going to begin with a semi-quaver or a 16th note. However, instead of having that, I'm going to just change it slightly to quaver semi-semi, so to 8th note and 2 16th notes. So mathematically it's the same, but we've just kind of jollied the rhythms along a little bit. And so now we know what our second phrase is going to begin with, we can perhaps begin to think about how we're going to end this section here. This is kind of our mini ending. And so we've got 1 1/4 beats here, which means we've only got 1 3/4 beats left to complete in this bar. And so I'm going to just create a mini ending here by using a double dot. So we've got a 1 beat, a crotchet or a quarter note, and then if we double dot it, that will give us our 1 3/4, as you can see here as well. And again, at the end, we're only going to have that same 1 3/4 beats, because we've got the missing 1 1/4 beats here, and those two sections will add up to a bar. And so what I'm going to do, we could either have 1 3/4 beats in a double dotted note, or just to kind of ring the changes a bit, I'm going to have a dotted crotchet, a dotted quarter note, and then I'm going to finish it off, just tidy up the maths with a rest. You could even, I guess, just to really shake things up a bit, so we're not entirely copying, we'll just have a crotchet and then we'll have rests to finish that. There we go. And so actually we've only got one complete bar to compose, the rest is just filling in the gaps. And so let's finish our question phrase. And so really we've got to sort of figure out the maths and make sure that it sounds correct. So we've got 1 3/4 beats here, so let's just tidy up this unit with 1/4 of a beat. There we go. So that's now with 2 beats and we've got 1 beat left, and so I'm going to reflect that 1 beat with the rhythm that I've already used so that it sort of feels linked. We don't want it to become too disjointed. And you can see how this is really calling into question your flexibility of knowledge with note values and beaming in groups. Remember, you've always got to tidy up each beat before you move on and beam the next group. You've got to show where each new beat falls. And that's why it's worth doing this just as a little bit of an exercise, if nothing else. So now we've got our opening. Let's just have a little tap through. So that'll do, we've got a gist of that. So now we've got 1 full bar, and so we want to make it sound like it belongs together. So I'm going to use a mixture of quavers and semi-quavers. I'm going to use a mixture of 8th notes and 16th notes, and I'll also make sure there's a bit of a dotted rhythm as well to sort of reflect what's going on here. So remember, grouping it in units of a quarter note or a crotchet beat and making sure that you beam that accurately. So I'll start with a dotted unit, and then I'll make use of what rhythm we've got here, but I'm going to just turn it around and reverse it. So we've got semi, semi, and then quaver. So I've got 16th notes and then the quaver. So I've just reversed that rhythm around. And you can see how I'm definitely showing where each new beat starts. And then, you know, don't get too complicated. There's no reason why we can't just have 2 quavers or 2 8th notes. And so you can see that I've accurately filled each bar. I've shown a musical unity between the 2 sections. We've got a question and an answer phrase. It definitely feels like it's balanced. We've shown rhythmic unity by keeping to like rhythms, but without being too repetitively boring. It would make no sense at all to do sort of like a big long minim in this, you know, like a half note in this, because it's just not that kind of a rhythm. We need it to keep going, we need to keep things moving rhythmically. And I can definitely show that I've grouped these correctly. I'm showing where each new crotchet beat, where each new quarter beat falls. I've reflected the anacrusis from the beginning in the opening phrase here and also at the end, so that my maths works out, because you need to show that upbeat reflected throughout the piece. In the next one there's no anacrusis at all, but you've got to be careful that you're working in compound time. And so if you want to have a go at a few of these, by all means do go ahead, and just make sure that you refer to the information that I've given you. If there is an anacrusis, make sure that's reflected in it. Make sure you're grouping in simple or compound time as the key signature dictates, and just sort of make sure that you tap it through and listen to the musical flow of the rhythms. But more than anything, make sure that you're grouping things correctly and that your maths is worked out within the bars. However, there's no need to worry about this section massively, because this no longer appears on your ABRSM exam paper. This has been removed from the paper, but it's a good foundational exercise to have a go at. So just have a go at a couple of those just for form's sake. There we go then. I hope that's been helpful to you. Please do give me a like, that'd be very encouraging to me. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, and please subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's loads more to come. do visit sharonbill.com and make use of all the information that's freely available to you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.